Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Stevie.
And the two of us are going to be talking about a very serious issue, an important issue, and that's organ donation, a life-saving choice. So we're going to be talking about what you do, as you get prepared, I guess, to pass away. Sometimes you have some advanced notice. Maybe you have a long illness. Sometimes people, have an accident and die quickly. But have you thought about whether you want to donate your organs?
I was just going to ask you the same question. Because in Western culture, donating your organs is fairly common. So, yes, I am an organ donor. And in the state I'm from, you just check a box on your driver's license, yes or no. And so, yes, I'm an organ donor, and they just recommend that you let your family know.
Yeah, but if you pass away here, have you told the government here that you are?
No.
Yeah, I haven't either.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I'm an organ donor in America, but not here. So we're going to talk about why it's important to think about this issue and perhaps why it's not done so much here in Taiwan or even in Asia generally.
Yeah.
But before we start, we're going to do what we always do, and that's read through today's article. We'll be right back. Consider this scenario. An individual has suffered severe chronic heart failure and desperately needs a heart transplant to survive. In some countries, there's a ray of hope for such an individual. But in Taiwan, the outlook appears gloomier. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic, Taiwan saw organ donations from a mere 396 people in 2020, translating as roughly 17 donors per million population. PMP, a rate considerably lower than that of many developed nations. Organ donation is a vital and often life-saving medical procedure in which organs from a donor, living or deceased, are legally transferred to a recipient in urgent need. The organs that can be donated, such as kidneys, livers, and hearts, symbolize the hope of a new lease on life for those battling lifelong disabilities or terminal illnesses. In Taiwan, the landscape of organ donation is delicate, shaped by legal frameworks and ethical considerations. Individuals wishing to donate their organs can register on a website or by signing a written consent form. The legal foundation for organ donation is the Human Organ Transplantation Act, which was implemented in 1987 and was the first of its kind in Asia. Despite this early legislative support, the deep-rooted cultural belief in preserving the body intact after death deters many from considering organ donation. In sharp contrast, Spain leads globally in organ donation, boasting a record-breaking rate of approximately 49 donors PMP in 2023. This achievement is largely attributed to Spain's opt-out system, which considers all citizens to be potential donors by default, unless they explicitly state otherwise, unlike Taiwan's opt-in system. Also critical to Spain's success are its extensive campaigns to raise public awareness and a sophisticated national transplant system capable of retrieving organs from donors whose hearts are no longer beating. The comprehensive approach has made Spain a pioneer in organ donation efforts. The exploration of organ donation practices in Taiwan and Spain highlights the significant differences in this medical area across the globe. Despite these differences, it's clear that at the heart of organ donation lies a universal truth. One single decision could potentially save a life. Okay, guys, let's dive in. We're looking at the title here, Organ Donation, a Life-Saving Choice. If you donate something, you give something. You can give money, you can give time, you can give articles of clothing or things that you own. I remember a famous commercial when I was growing up. They had a jingle, which is kind of a song from a company, and it was trying to encourage people to donate their old used cars to a charity, which I thought was really cute. But you can donate lots of things. You don't have to be wealthy to help people in need or needy people, as we say. An organ, though, is something inside our bodies, like our heart, our lungs, our liver. A skin is even an organ. It's a very big organ that covers our bones. But if you are willing to donate your organs, you might be able to save someone else's life who needs one.
The difference with this kind of donation is usually this is after you have already moved on into
heaven, hopefully.
Heaven or the next life, whatever you believe in. But there are some organs you can donate a kidney and still be alive, you know, to help a family member. Yeah. You can actually donate a piece of your liver.
Right.
To and be alive and be just fine. So there are some donations, and sometimes you can actually donate parts of your skin to help other people.
Although that would be
obviously
difficult.
that would probably be for a family member who was really in need and you were trying to help out, because it's not easy.
No.
Yeah.
So let's get into this, guys. Consider this scenario. A scenario is just a situation that someone sets up. You've got an individual here, a person, and they've suffered severe chronic heart failure, or CHF, as we refer to it in the industry. I used to work for Pfizer.
Oh.
So I saw some of this stuff. And this person desperately needs a heart transplant to survive. If you need something desperately, you're almost without any hope left. You're just so anxious that you need something, and you're hoping someone will listen to what you need. Here, they need a heart transplant to survive. When you transplant something, you move a thing from one place to another. So here we're moving a heart from someone who unfortunately is brain dead. They wait until there's no activity in your brain, and then your doctor might declare you deceased or you're dead. And then your family gets to decide what to do with your organs. Hopefully you've decided in advance and they know exactly what you want. And then they will do a surgery immediately and take that beating heart and keep it cold and rush it to a person in another hospital who's ready to receive that heart.
So you just mentioned desperately needing a heart transplant to survive, to live.
Right.
And this word you talked about, desperately, means you really need something. And we will also use that for people, not just to describe your need, but we sometimes say that to people. Like, and sometimes as a joke.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I really need a new boyfriend or girlfriend. And somebody will say, wow, you sound really desperate.
Yes.
Okay. Or, oh, I need a new job. I'm desperate. I hate the job I'm doing, or something like that. So desperate means you really, really need something. And in this case, you need it to live.
Right. We're not messing around. Well, in some countries, it says here there's a ray of hope. A ray is kind of a line of sunshine that just spreads out from the sun. So a ray of hope means there's some hope that you can see. Sometimes we think of light as bringing in hope into our lives.
Yes.
So there's a ray of hope for some individuals in this very serious situation where they are suffering from severe chronic heart failure. It'll be any day and their heart is going to give up.
Yeah, they could die anytime.
They could. So they're looking for someone who has been a donor, organ donor, and who is willing to, help them out so they can continue to live. But if you're in Taiwan and you're in this situation with chronic heart failure, you might have a difficult time finding an organ donor and a new heart. So it says here the outlook in Taiwan for this situation or scenario appears gloomier. Gloomier means very dark, without hope. So an outlook is just your prospect for the future, what you see in the future.
An outlook is kind of your personal view about things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you can have a great outlook on life. You're very positive and you think, you know, good things are coming. Or you can have a bad outlook or maybe not bad, negative outlook on life where you're like, oh, I'm so unhappy. Everything's bad, you know, and there may be a lot of bad things, but to have a positive outlook is a good thing. But here, the outlook appears gloomier. It's maybe not the ray of sunshine that other people have.
Right.
In some places.
So even before COVID-19, the pandemic, a pandemic is a disease that spreads throughout the world. Even before COVID, Taiwan saw organ donations from a mere 396 people in 2020. That is a very low number.
So only 396 people in all of 2020.
That's what that mere, M-E-R-E, means, only. Yeah. It's not very many people. Translating that as roughly 17 donors per million in the population, which is also very, very low. And it says here, our author writes, a rate considerably lower than that of many developed nations. Here in Taiwan, we're a first world country. We're highly developed. In fact, we produce that chip that most other nations need to run on.
Those chips.
Yeah.
So only 17 donors per million people.
Right.
Out of 1 million people, only 17 donors will donate organs.
Mm-hmm.
Donor, by the way, we're going to see coming up in the next sentence as well. When you donate something, then you are a donor.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And like I said, there are lots of different things you can donate. You don't have to be wealthy. You don't have to be rolling in dough.
You can donate your time.
Right.
Your talents.
Mm-hmm.
I like to bake. Sometimes people ask me if I'll bake cookies or dog biscuits for a sale that's helping raise money for stray dog organizations.
Oh, that's nice.
Or, you can donate lots of different things.
You can. Absolutely. You can be a good listener. That's a wonderful thing to donate is your time, just listening. Moving on to paragraph 2, it says, organ donation is a vital and often life-saving medical procedure in which organs from a donor, living or deceased, remember, if you're living, you can still donate part of a liver or kidney.
Oh, and blood.
And blood,
People
of course.
donate blood a lot.
Yeah. These things that you're giving or donating are legally transferred to a recipient. A person receiving something is called a recipient in urgent need. So this is something that's vital. Vital just means essential, something that you absolutely need. It's necessary, and it's a life-saving medical procedure.
That means basically you're saving their life. If they don't get this, they will most likely die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and deceased we use when we talk about someone who has passed away in a more polite way. We don't say someone who's living or dead. Hey, I heard your mom's dead. You would never say that to someone.
No.
Right?
I heard your mom passed away. Mm-hmm. Or if we're talking legal terms, she was deceased at that time. But we don't say, oh, yeah, you're dead. It's similar in Taiwan. Taiwan doesn't really like talking about death either.
No.
I don't think any of us do.
No, it's uncomfortable. And you want to say it in the nicest way possible. A deceased, as Stevie said, is used in legal situations. A doctor might use it. The police will use it to fill out reports and stuff. Maybe a traffic accident, something like that. So the organs that can be donated that we talked about are kidneys, livers. You can still be alive to do that. Mm-hmm. But if you donate your heart, sadly, you've moved on.
Yeah.
You're no longer with us. And these donations symbolize the hope of a new lease on life. We use that, a new lease on life, to talk about someone who feels like they've kind of been reborn.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they were really ill for a long time and then they recover and they feel like, I feel like I'm 20 again. Maybe they're 60. I feel like I'm 20 years old again. I have a new lease on life. Lease is kind of like a rental agreement on a car.
Right.
Yeah.
A lease, you can lease something for a short or a long period of time, but you're renting it. And we actually say a new lease on life because, sadly, sooner or later, that lease will come to an end.
Yeah, we
right?
can't live forever.
So you can't buy a new life, but to have a lease on life or a new lease on life just means, wow, I have another chance to have more of my life, to have more experience, to experience more things. A new lease on life.
And this is a great gift to those who are battling some of these lifelong disabilities, or even worse, terminal illnesses.
Yeah.
Where if they don't get that donor, heart or, I don't know, lungs, kidneys, whatever it is, they won't be able to survive. Lifelong just means throughout your life.
Yep.
You could say, hey, we've been lifelong friends. Maybe you have a friend from, elementary school, or when you were 4, you first met each other. You're lifelong buddies, lifelong friends.
And when we say battling an illness, battle means, of course, to fight something. And I don't know about you, but if I got really sick and got cancer or something, I wouldn't just give up.
No.
I'm going to, we'll say, fight it. I'm going to fight it. I'm going to try and live and do what I can. And so I am battling a disease just like I would be in a fight or a war with an enemy.
Yeah.
Because that disease is your enemy.
Is definitely the enemy.
Yeah, so that's why we say battling lifelong disabilities. Of course, a disability means something that takes away your ability to do something. It could be, there are many kinds. It could be, you have problems moving your hand or a leg, or you may have problems seeing or hearing. There are many kinds of disabilities. And of course, or terminal illnesses. The word terminal actually means to end, to get to the end. So if it's a terminal illness, it's going to take you to the end of our life.
Yeah, we also use it if you ride the MRT. They'll say, this is the terminal station. It's the last station that particular train goes on.
The last stop.
Yeah, the last stop. This is a terminal station. You better get out. So we're going to take a quick break here, guys. Listen to some nice music, I guess, because there's no Chinese teacher today. And then we'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about organ donation, and it's our all-English unit. So no Chinese teacher today. It's just us. We're talking about what it is to actually donate an organ, why it might be important for people. Maybe there's someone in your own family or a close friend that you know is struggling with a lifelong disability, some terminal illness, and you would give anything if people would be willing to donate. Stevie, I was thinking about this earlier today, and I thought, wow, Taiwan's this island. It takes quite a while to fly here, at least from the U.S.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's too long to keep some of these organs on ice. So we really do need people here in Taiwan to be willing to be organ donators and donate some of these organs that are needed. So, yeah, I thought about that earlier, and I thought, we're so far away from so many of these organ donors that if you actually made it long enough to receive that organ, you hope that it would be close by. So keep that in mind as well. Let's move on to the third paragraph. It says here in Taiwan, the landscape of organ donation is delicate. So we're not talking about the land of organs, all over. It's kind of a figurative way just to talk about what the situation for organ donations is like, what it's like here in Taiwan. Why is it delicate? Why is it kind of fragile?
Well, when you look at the landscape of something, you're seeing, of course, its beauty, you're seeing the plants, but you're also seeing the shape and the structure, how it's built and what it kind of looks like. And so we use this word, the landscape of something, means you kind of have to know the ups and downs and what's going on. And it makes sense if you think of it, visually.
Yeah.
If you can see the whole picture and see how it's shaped and what it looks like, then you might understand it a little more.
And they even use that word, shaped, in the next part of the sentence. So this landscape of organ donation is delicate. It's shaped by legal frameworks and ethical considerations. A lot of times when we use that word framework, we're talking about a structure that something is built on.
And how it's built, and same thing.
Yes, but it can also be a basic structure that supports a system. And that's kind of what we're looking at here, a system that allows for organ donations to take place. You're also looking at some of the ethical considerations. Ethical doesn't mean legal and illegal. It means right and wrong.
And sometimes ethical considerations, in different things, different people feel different ways.
And they have the right to.
Yeah. So for me and my religion and my culture, donating an organ is fine and is normal. Whereas some people might think, oh, no, you're messing with my body, you're taking stuff away. It should. So people will feel and think different things.
Yeah.
And, ethical considerations, what you think is right and wrong, come into, they're very important in this kind of a decision.
Yeah, they really do come into play. Not just someone's religion, but the culture.
Yeah.
What you grew up with, what people in your country are used to. All of those things are very important. So individuals wishing to donate their organs can register on a website. So you can sign up on a website, or you can sign a written consent form. If you consent to something, you give permission for something to happen.
You agreed to it.
Yeah, you give approval for it. If you want to go on a field trip and you're a student, you usually have to get a permission slip signed. Your parents have to give their consent for you to go and play.
Permission slips are also actually called parental consent forms.
There you go. Now, the legal foundation for organ donation is the Human Organ Transplantation Act. That's a piece of legislation that your legislative UN passed, and it was implemented or put into effect in 1987, and it was the first of its kind in Asia.
Yeah.
So go Taiwan. Despite this early legislative support, the deep-rooted cultural belief in preserving the body intact means not separated. So your body isn't separated at all.
So nothing's taken away that should be there, they think. Right.
So if it's deep-rooted, it goes way down deep into someone's belief system. And so they believe in keeping that body intact after death. It deters many people from considering organ donation.
Talking about deep-rooted, this comes from a root is what keeps a tree in the ground, right?
Yeah.
Some trees, especially really old trees that are very strong, or plants that are very strong, they have deep roots. And so it goes way down into the earth, and it keeps this plant or this tree standing up. And so a deep-rooted cultural belief means that this is part of the culture or part of tradition that goes back a long, long way and is very strong in this culture or tradition.
Yeah.
So when we say that somebody has deep-rooted beliefs in something, it really is kind of a part of who you are.
Yeah, your character, your philosophy of life. And this is what's deterring people from considering organ donation. If you deter or something is deterred, it just means you're being discouraged from doing something.
You're kind of trying to stop it.
Maybe you're discouraged from doing something because of fear. Maybe you have some doubts about something. A lot of things can deter someone from making some sort of decision or acting in a certain way. Now, moving on to the next paragraph, it says, in sharp contrast, here we're going to show you the opposite of the landscape that we see here in Taiwan, and that's in Spain. Spain leads globally in organ donation. They boast, which means they're very proud of this, they're boasting a record-breaking rate of approximately 49 donors PMP. In 2023, that's a lot of people. So we have 17 donors PMP. Spain has 49 donors PMP.
And approximately, of course, means around that. It's kind of an estimate, but it's around, give or take a few, it's around 49 donors per million population, which just means for every million people.
And this achievement is largely attributed to Spain's opt-out system. An opt-out system means you're in whatever system you're talking about unless you do something affirmatively or take action to say you're out.
And opt-out actually means to option out, or option means, of course, a choice to choose. So opt-out, to option out, means you can choose to step out, to get out.
And so in Spain, all citizens are considered to be potential donors by default, unless they state otherwise. By default is a phrase we use that just means it happens only because something else which might have prevented it or changed it has not happened.
Computer users will recognize this word. You have what we call, and actually anything electronic now, your phone, your computer, we have the default settings. That is the settings that are there when you start it up.
Yeah.
And you can change those, or you can revert or go back to the default settings. So just kind of originally how it is.
So unless you tell them explicitly, which means very clearly, I do not want to be an organ donor.
Yeah.
In Spain, you're automatically an organ donor unless you say no. So Taiwan doesn't have that. They have an opt-in system.
Which is the opposite. You can choose to get in the system.
Yeah.
In Spain, you're already in it. You choose to get out. In Taiwan, you're not in it. You opt in or choose to get in or be a part of the system.
One other thing that's very important for Spain's success is its extensive campaigns. They have a lot of campaigns to raise public awareness, get people knowledgeable about what it means to be an organ donor, why we need organ donors. They've got a sophisticated national transplant system, and they're capable of retrieving organs from donors whose hearts are no longer beating. So they can move immediately once they know someone is ready to give up a heart.
Now, to retrieve something usually means to get something back. But here we're saying retrieving it from a living body to put it into another living body. So to retrieve that donor or that organ means you're getting it from somebody whose heart's no longer beating.
That's right. So there's a comprehensive approach, and this has all made Spain a pioneer in organ donation efforts. The exploration of organ donation practices in Taiwan and Spain highlights the significant differences in this medical area across the globe. Every country is different, but we're taking kind of two really good examples of a lot of people involved and not so many people involved.
Yes, so that's why they say it's a significant difference, a big difference here.
Despite these differences, and even though we have these differences, it's clear that at the heart of organ donation lies this universal truth, a truth that applies everywhere. Universal means everywhere. And what is that? Well, one single decision could potentially save a life. So
could possibly save a life.
Yeah. So think about it. Talk about this with your families. This is a pretty important issue, especially if you're someone who has a loved one who needs an organ transplant. We wish you all the best.
Yeah.
We're out of time, though, guys. We got to sign off. Thanks for joining us. And we hope you'll come back soon for English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Stevie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.